Good morning, family. Welcome to Morning Delight. Today's Monday, August 14th. Let's begin by greeting our Heavenly Parent and true parents. As soon as Pastor Milhan gets back.
It's coming.
Thank you. 전지현 참 보는 게 기억돼. Carl. Now for our family pledge, let's welcome Pastor Milhan Stevens.
가정맹세 1. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본향 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조의 상인 지상 천국과 전상 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다. 2. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 교자, 국가에서는 중심, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 성자의 가정의 도리를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 3. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과 황족권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 4. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 창조의 상인 천주대 가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 5. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주제적 천상세계와 대상적 지상세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진화할 것을 맹세하나이다. 6. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님의 대신 가정으로서 천연을 움직이는 가정이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 7. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 번연의 혈통과 연결을 위하는 생활을 통하여 심정문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 8. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 천여국 시대를 맞이하여 절대 신앙, 절대 사랑, 절대 복종으로 신인의 일체 이상을 이루어 지상 천국과 천상 천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
For our opening prayer, I'd like to invite Pastor Milhan to pray today. Thank you.
Let us pray. Heavenly Parent, good morning. We're very happy to be gathered this morning for this Sunday session, reading the Mother of Peace, and being gathered as the New York community, joined with our GPA community of Chanaguk missionaries. Heavenly Parent, I know that there are a lot of challenges in this world and a lot of things that are uncertain about the future, but one thing's for sure is that we are united with our true parents. Pray that you can feel joy and that we can experience joy with one another as we share our gratitudes and read the word together. We always thank you, and we offer this whole service to you. My name, Milhan Saiga Stevens, a blessing to your family. Aju.
Aju. Thank you, Pastor Milhan. Okay, family, let's take a few moments to share our gratitude, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good sharing. We were talking so much about yesterday about the service up at the seminary. Dr. Stewart, would you like to share with us your gratitude today? I think you might be muted. Yeah, Dr. Stewart, you're muted again.
No, I'm not.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was, of course, very grateful to be able to participate in yesterday by means of this technology that we've come to take for granted almost. And I was filled with many happy memories. I can't say some names can't remember some people by names right now to say how great it was to see them there. I hope they will forgive me. But also I thought about Dr. David Kim, with whom I was privileged to work for a long time, and with Dr. Young Kim, and the many other early founders or older members of our movement, and the way that, and I remember True Father and often True Mother coming to the seminary and talking with the professors and the staff and the students, and sharing his vision not only for the seminary but for the world. And so many people would gather and they would walk with True Father down his trail to whatever place he chose to stop and share his heart more fully. My family was able to, I was able to have my family there, and my husband, Ernest, became like a resident uncle or something. He was a little older than most of the members, and was able to take kind of a parental position in everyday kinds of affairs. And then in 1981, my son, we received the offering child, my son Michael, and he loved the seminary. He grew up loving the seminary, and so he's very sad to see it close. But also recognizes, I believe, that, you know, this is the time that we need to go forward and support True Mother in the way that she leads us. I was happy to see Marie Ong, because I worked with Dr. Ong a long time, and the Ong family lived on campus, and to see many other people who were there and came with full hearts and full minds, full of memories. There's much more that I should be able to say, but that's what I can share this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. Thank you. Okay, family, now it's time for our Audible reading. We're reading from True Mother's memoir, The Mother of Peace. Pastor Milhan.
Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you, Dr. Stewart and Therese. Yeah, I do know Mike a little bit, and hearing from Mike, Dr. Mickler yesterday, I got to sit next to him, and during our sharing, he mentioned you. It's one of the the core three that had started the seminary at the time, and well, I guess even that property and its purpose. And so I'm sure, yeah, you have volumes to share, and so I hope you get a chance to write more down so we can remember forever. I see actually Reverend Sebastian smiling ear to ear. That hope as well. But yeah, it was a very warm, heartfelt service yesterday, and I think what I really took away Denthew's his sharing. I can't say I've seen him emotional like that before. So it's, we can't take for granted where we had our experiences with God. At 15, he felt God for the first time there And, sometimes a part of us kind of dies when we move on like this, but it does open up, new things for the future. So I think we're also very hopeful for that. Okay, let's go into our Godable reading, the Mother of Peace. Oops. Please enjoy.
Welcome to Mother of Peace, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. A memoir by Hak Jahan Moon, a production of the Washington Times Global Media Group, narrated by Alison Hiroto. The world's parliamentarians share one heart. Nepal has no seashore, but having the world's tallest mountains makes up for that. Countless hikers and wealthy tourists visit Nepal, as it has 8 of the world's 10 highest mountain peaks, and its border passes over the very tallest peak, Mount Everest. But Nepal sits secluded between China and India, and the development of its largely agrarian economy is not keeping up with its neighbors. When I arrived at the Kathmandu airport in November 2018, 2 dogs were napping peacefully on the waiting room floor, and nobody was shooing them out. Cars and motorcycles came to a sudden stop because far ahead, a cow was meandering along the road. Only after she moved off the road did the traffic start moving again. This is Nepal. Nonetheless, large-scale changes have taken place since Nepal encountered our movement. For example, an amazing event took place in Nepal in 2016, which was an unforgettable year for our movement's peace efforts. In July, hundreds of leaders in the fields of politics, economics, religion, and education arrived in Kathmandu from every nation in Asia. These distinguished men and women came to inaugurate the regional chapter of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, a project of the Universal Peace Federation. Let me take a moment to introduce the IAPP. World peace cannot come about by human effort alone, nor by the efforts of just a few. Many people, from everyday citizens to high-ranking government officials, need to overcome social class divisions and actively take initiative. Every nation in the world, small or large, has a Congress, a parliament, or national assembly. It represents the people of the nation. Over the years, as I visited nations around the world, I repeatedly urged the parliamentarians who came to meet me to remember the precious mission bestowed upon them by their nation and its people. I said that when the people's elected representatives put their heads together and focus on what they can do to solve conflicts, peace will come quickly and naturally. I spoke of a world alliance of parliamentarians dedicated to the search for peaceful solutions. When I did so, parliamentarians would agree with me. The vision from Heavenly Parent is the starting point, connecting the world's parliamentarians as one body, transcending nation, race, and culture. By aligning with the only begotten daughter, parliamentarians can work together to address the ills that bedevil human life. As I shared this vision, people close to me tried to educate me about political infighting. They asked, will leaders of different parties be willing to gather and cooperate? Gathering influential people and peacemakers is not an easy task, they said. All the nation's governments are fraught with conflict and strife caused by the divisions among opposing parties. I did not budge. I had not a shadow of a doubt that today's parliamentarians are ready, and I had faith that God would guide each of them to listen to me. The launch of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace took place in February 2016 at the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea. The theme of the conference was Addressing the Critical Challenges of Our Time, the Role of Governments, civil society, and faith-based organizations. This was the first of a series of such events, one held on each continent, about which I will now say a few words. In Nepal in July 2016, under a hot sun, people gathered in great numbers to launch IAPP in the Asia-Pacific region. More than 166 parliamentarians and another 350 observers came from 29 nations. Many Nepalese citizens attended, and the Right Honorable President Bidya Devi Bhandari personally conveyed her deep gratitude. Those who said it wouldn't work were wrong. The conference was a great success from the start, and many people later expressed their appreciation for IAPP as a much-needed organization. Following the Nepal conference, we launched the West African Regional IAPP in August 2016. More than 600 people from 24 nations came to Burkina Faso's National Assembly building and engaged in lively talks. A few weeks later, we opened the European Regional IAPP in London with over 300 people from 40 nations in attendance. As the founder of IAPP, I sought to encourage them. In building an eternal world of peace, I said at the London meeting, each nation's political leaders must possess a moral character and follow ethical values and the voice of their conscience. The world will change when the world's parliamentarians unite and cooperate for the sake of peace. Then, in October, we launched IAPP chapters for Central America and South America in Costa Rica and Paraguay, respectively. Following those events, people gathered in Zambia in early November for the South and East African Regional IAPP inauguration. In the northern climes, autumn was already well underway, but in parts of Africa, IAPP attendees had to endure sweltering heat. Still, we focused on our peace ideology and, in the end, resolved to find ways to cleanse our painful histories and work together. The final IAPP events took place in Japan and the United States. In Japan, people were nervous about how many government officials would attend. These concerns were allayed when more than 200 Japanese leaders and allies, including 63 incumbent parliamentarians, attended the grand event. Regardless of political beliefs and cultural differences, they gathered without hesitation with the will to build a world of peace. In my remarks to the Japanese parliamentarians and key leaders, I conveyed my longing for peace and proposed a path by which to achieve it. They received my words with one heart. Our final 2016 rally took place in Washington, D.C. The choice of venue for this IAPP conference, which was the culmination of all previous efforts, was very important. In the end, members of the United States Senate offered the Kennedy Caucus Room, one of the Senate's most prestigious and historic rooms, as the event location. I was told by the Senate sponsors, there are many rooms available for the launching ceremony. However, in view of this meeting's importance to us, we will prepare the Kennedy Caucus Room. The Kennedy Caucus Room is where John F. Kennedy declared his presidential candidacy in 1960. The Senate voted in 2009 to name the room in honor of the three Kennedy brothers. The room has seen numerous meetings on matters of great significance in United States and world history. It was a most fitting venue for the momentous launching in North America of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace. On November 30th, 2016, while a winter rain drizzled outside, the venue was filled with more than 300 U.S. and foreign parliamentarians from 56 nations. Many participants had already met one another at previous IAPP events, and they happily embraced their colleagues from neighboring countries. The mood in this splendid venue was one of great joy and hope as people from nations large and small expressed their pleasure at participating in a global event for peace. The words of Honorable Gilbert Bangana, representing the President of the National Assembly of Benin, touched people's hearts. When I was young, I learned Father and Mother Moon's principles of peace, and today I continue to practice their peace philosophy. Many people expressed to me their gratitude for having introduced a new path toward peace. Republican U.S. Senator and Senate President pro tempore Orrin Hatch, who assisted with and attended the inauguration, is a longtime friend. After I delivered my keynote address, he took the podium and kindly mentioned his appreciation for our unchanging movement for peace. Senator Hatch, who served in the United States Senate from 1977 until 2019, has always offered strong support for our work. Senator Edward Markey, representing the Democratic Party, expressed his gratitude for our contributions toward environmental preservation and promised to support us. With the conclusion of this final launch in Washington, D.C., my course to inaugurate IAPP worldwide came to a close. For a year and more, I had traveled the globe, going to 6 continents to convene these events. More than 20,000 people, including 2,500 incumbent parliamentarians from 190 nations, had attended, making this initiative a great success. Each IAPP regional inauguration marked a historic first for parliamentarians from so many nations to gather in one place. These men and women put aside differences of nationality, race, and religious persuasion, and any sense of being from enemy nations. Spending several days in each other's company, they would always begin with the important question, what can we do now for the sake of peace?
Thank you for listening to Godable. Visit motherofpeacebook.com to purchase the complete audiobook.
Thank you, Godfrey parents, for these words and these events that took place. Really support peace in our world. The IAPP, International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace. This organization, this association, I've always seen as like the brain of God. Okay. Now, parliamentarians, they typically work with the different branches of their own government in their own state or country. And to go across to other nations and be able to, be a giant think tank for peace I know there are other congresses that gather like that, but the level that what we did is undeniable. And whenever someone wants to call us a cult, I'm just like, well, have you heard about the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace? That doesn't look like a cult to me. This looks like a movement that's unprecedented, bring people together. I actually was. I directed the IAPP launching at the Senate building, the Kennedy Caucus Room. And I saw senators one by one walk up to the front and show their support. I also participated in the conferences, the ILC conferences in DC during that time, leading up to that meeting with your mother. And what I saw was these political leaders breathing for the first time. A lot of them believe in God and they have strong principles, but they felt so silenced by this air of not trying to offend anybody. But when they came into a room with us, they could talk openly and freely. And that's what you need if you're going to make real peace. So that's what your parents are doing. So let's go into the highlights. Yes, that's the Brain of God, the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace. Okay, and there's also other associations, I think will be mentioned later, I think, with heads of state, first ladies, media, and so many others, religious leaders. And I was there when Mother said this. She said, world peace cannot come about by human effort alone, nor by efforts of just a few. But when we come together in the name of God, things can happen. So Mother is leading this, and I don't think there's anyone else who can lead in this kind of way. When the people's elected representatives put their heads together and focus on what they can do to solve conflicts, peace will come quickly and naturally. In today's day and age with this technology, we can have a world gathering. I'm sure you've heard when the World Cup starts, the world stops. That's why I'm sure when Father saw that, he's like, this is it. This is the answer for world peace. And so you have these rallies of hope that we're doing and trying to, innovate in the technology so that we all can participate. It's funny, whenever I join these rallies of hope, I just tell my kids, okay, kids, I'm going to Korea. And I get on my laptop and I'm kind of stuck there for like 3 hours. But this is the world we live in. We think, oh, it's just technology. No, this is God working. God is working to bring our people together. But we need True Mother at the helm. Otherwise, it could be used for evil too. So I love this question. Will leaders of different parties be willing to gather and cooperate? It's funny, they use party affiliation as like the more difficult thing to overcome. But what about enemy nations coming together to cooperate? I remember I was at the ILC and Dr. Jenkins got up there and he said the funniest thing, which again, you'll never see this in any other conference in the world. Okay? So there must have been 100 parliamentarians in that room, all from different nations. And he got up there and said, okay, I know some of you are from enemy nations, but I'd like you to take a chance to go across the aisle and give them a hug and a kiss. You're like, well, maybe not a kiss, but at least a hug. And then everyone just breaks out laughing. So what true parents, what we do is we make family. We try to remind people that we're family first, and then we're political leaders or whatever hat you wear. That comes second. And only in our conferences and our events does that happen. Each nation's political leaders must possess a moral character and follow ethical values and the voice of their conscience. I can almost double highlight this one, the voice of their conscience. The thing about elected officials is that they have to kind of obey those who elected them into office. So they're kind of, in a way, a puppet of their own constituency. But Mother's like, but you need to follow your conscience. And a lot of these people, they feel like they don't have permission to follow their conscience. But when they get in the room with us, they can speak openly, freely. Like, yeah, actually, well, I've worked with some people, very influential, and I try to get a one-on-one with them, and I ask them, what's the biggest problem? In fact, the survey that we're going to go out and witness with, it's like, well, what is the cause of human suffering? And this guy who, he can't be religious in his work, but when he asks what's the cause, he's like, Christianity failed. Christianity has fallen. That's the problem. That's why there's human suffering. I was like, whoa, like that's very religious. But this is the true heart of a lot of our elected leaders, and they don't have a platform where they can speak honestly like that. So we're providing a real value to the world. And things like this, reconciliation, cleanse our painful histories and work together. There's a lot of deeply rooted ancestral problems that these painful histories that have not been reconciled. And you need spiritual leadership to guide that reconciliation. So again, these events do that. Washington, D.C., I'm very proud. I'll never forget walking, the Senate floors and the House of Rep. It's so interesting to see a lot of young people walking around there too, kind of interns and assisting their Congress people. And we had this letter with like bipartisan support. We went to the people, a lot of these senators and Republicans and Democrats. They knew who our invitation committee were, those members, and like, oh yeah, I know Congressman Burton. I know these guys. So it was very nice to be able to access them in a friendly way. And I guess the last thing is Orrin Hatch. I know he did pass away, and I know many of us were sad for the loss. I mean, they can't say much here in the book, but I'm sure many of you on the call know, he has protected true parents, especially with Danbury, and how this was not right to imprison someone, trying to probe into any religious group and try to find any little nitpicky issue and imprison that person. That was completely wrong. It was religious persecution, violation of the First Amendment, and Orrin Hatch, he led the way, at least in Congress. We had a lot of ministers supporting us and walking with us at the time. So we're really indebted to him. We're so grateful for him. And I was so happy. Actually, I could walk with him into the room. Dr. Kim was kind of like with him. And it was an honor to welcome him to the event. So, yep, those are my reflection points today. I hope everyone found their own keywords. And with that, let's go into back to you, Kathy.
Thank you very much. I'm sure Orrin Hatch is with True Father right now.
Oh yeah, hanging out.
Okay, everybody, let's take a few moments to share our reflections, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good sharing. Joel Green, would you like to share with us today? Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, I was in a room with Brother Wilson and this other lovely lady. What's her name again? I'm trying to find it right now. Oh, it's the lady from, I think she's from the Netherlands. Yeah. Really nice.
Vira Tão Magari. Su
Yes.
Magari. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just talking about, hearing what people say about the Unification Church and calling it a cult. And I was thinking, like, when I was younger, like between 10 and 15 years old, I just really didn't have a choice in most of the things that were about the church because I was kind of, I was raised in the church, basically speaking. And whenever I would bring up the church to anyone, I would speak happily and freely that, this is just the norm to me. But then again, other kids would say to me, like, yeah, well, my parents say that it's a cult and they brainwash people and they try to steal your money. And I'm like, I mean, that's just so far-fetched. I just thought it was stupid. But then again, one day trying to bring a friend home to play some video games, and my dad whips out a chalkboard starting to teach divine principle. I was like, okay, well, now I can see where you get the aspect of that's, this church is not normal, because the norm for people is not to have your kid go to somebody's house and you whip out a chalkboard and start preaching divine principle. And he would start off like with chapter 2. I'm like, are you serious? Like, come on. But I couldn't say, I mean, that's just my dad for you, a very special guy. And, it always makes me think about how people view us and how do we respond to that? How do we carry ourselves? And, because the church is so important in a way where, if you want to call us a cult, we have been a cult that's been changing a lot of, mankind's faults and, restoring a lot of things. And especially with the Berlin Wall coming down, we were a very intricate part of that. So if you want to call us a cult, we're a cult for good. But, but the connotation of the word cult meaning something negative, I'm not really a fan of, you know what I mean? So, but I should say that people should really judge us by our actions, because we have done nothing but try to help this world become a better place for our future generations. So I don't see how people would just kind of make that in a negative way. And it just truly bothers me. But you know what? You have to lead by example. And I think we are still some of the most humblest people in the world when it comes to the things that we do. We go out or we do it because it's the right thing to do. We don't do it for monetary purposes or anything else. But, Satan gets really scared whenever we go out to do stuff, because it's changing the way how people think. People are actually thinking for themselves and actually using God in their minds and hearts. So he doesn't want that to happen. That's why all this negative keeps, attacking us. So I guess we just got to keep grinding and change the narrative so people can actually see us for who we really are.
Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, brothers and sisters, before we begin our 7 minutes prayer, do we have any prayer requests today?
Yeah, if people could continue pray for my daughter, Carolina Ferreira, for her emotional challenges. She's a teenager.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
And pray for in Los Angeles, friend Darlene De Silva. She worked in Harlem a long time with her husband, Godwin. Right now, few cases of COVID are showing up in Los Angeles. So we just pray that our members are safe, and Darlene De Silva, that she's safe, and we can, think about and be real careful ourselves, because there are some people walking around, carriers. So, just pray that we're okay, that you're okay. And
Thank you, Juanita.
thank you.
Also ask that my daughter-in-law went to hospital last night because water broke. So baby is coming. So please pray for safe, safe delivery.
What's her name, Ayaka-san?
You can put Maria Songhua Lee. It's we call Maria Lee Heller. Maria Lee Heller. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Exciting.
Can we also pray for Reverend Milhan's daughter, for her to reach 100%, because I heard she's a little better, but still she deserves more prayers.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay,
We
brothers
can
and
pray for showing good missionaries that they successful, victorious in their witnessing and divine principle studies.
Amen.
yeah, we're so happy to see them here.
Yeah. Beautiful.
How many? How many are here?
I think 14, including staff.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
How long are you going to be here?
So they'll be here until Saturday, so Sunday morning, and then we'll get the next round, the next group batch coming.
Oh, well, good. Well, thank you. We're so happy to have them here. Okay, everybody, let's begin our 7 minutes unison prayer. Shisha.
Good morning,
There's a
Heavenly
lot to
Parents.
pray
Good
for
morning,
parents.
Dear Heavenly
parents.
Parents, we are grateful
Bless
This
that
morning,
Chong Yu
for
Missionary
lifting
is
up
in this
church
town.
now,
support
Young,
Carolina.
youth,
Heavenly
teacher.
Parents,
This is a
parents,
truly the
I'd like to pray
true,
for
true mother, true, true
and
Strong,
coming to
parent,
grips
Gathered
with
here,
our
uh,
self
ready
find
desire
a job,
to
the
gather
teenager.
together.
Teenager.
to Heavenly
find
Parents
family,
who
People
And
all
they're
over the
challenging
God
church,
use the
reality.
world
and
to
important job
serve
So
your
as a
in
the
teenager,
world,
Milhan's life. So John
she
have
Washington,
a
answered
find a
the
to
job,
be
call
able
that
to overcome.
prayer,
Holy
from
So Heavenly
you.
Spirit,
Parents, I pray
word,
for
health,
the Judy,
That
well
you
being,
give
that's
Alina the
who are
call
lost,
grow
Katerina,
for
that's
his
for
daughter
family,
we know who
of
they are.
the entertainment
mother
spirit,
of
with and lower
Heavenly
Los
Parents
pray
Angeles.
for
Spiritual
County.
Will
for Stuart as well,
People there
Wilson.
from
quickly
Malcolm,
Heavenly
respond to
Parents,
this
dynamic
challenge
and
really truly
continue
pray
faith,
use
distributed
the
that
blessings,
keep
necessary
him
medicines,
yeah,
strong,
Father, and
in the
also
conscience
for the
focus,
divine will done of God.
careful
because we miss
that
him,
in
is your
their
and
communication,
going
their
to bring
contact with each
Paul is
other.
passing
Pray
everybody
for
was
the
born
daughter-in-law.
events
and
and
how pure she is. We should remember
so
the parents, but
getting
not
Process of
living
unity
giving
of
community.
the
birth right now.
morality of the nation.
Unity.
Need to
Trying to
have
Divine
a
principles,
preparation for the
respect
blessing.
to parents and
Heavenly Parents,
pastors.
I
can do
pray
well.
that we
I
can
pray
truly
for
guide
Lucas
And
Stevens
the
really,
nurses,
Heavenly Parents,
has
I ask
the
you
families
which
around
guide this
the
sister,
baby born.
somebody's
um,
child. I
Which is
really pray that the
a miracle
Katrina
every time.
Lina Ferreira, my
keep
wife,
a
has
For our
purity,
daughter can be.
purity of her
Know
mind,
that she's
purity
loved,
of
being
her
balanced,
Beijing
love,
right now,
and
Father, recuperate
that's the
today's work,
praise,
and that she can
challenge
know
she
faith
her
had,
own
and
value, Father,
wife,
find her
also
own
health
value,
and
well,
continue
family.
to
everything my
follow her
wife
We're
own
truly grateful
conscience,
to
and
you. I
this,
pray also
as Mother
Watson
Memoir
for
says
Watson to
now,
she
find
can
a
be pure
moral
and
and
job and
ethical, and have
I pray that
void
our
of
life
Heavenly
holding
fear,
Father,
now,
please
or
guide
conscience. That was the call
love,
the
heal,
sister
session that
warm
called
embrace,
the
heal.
all that you are.
California and LA that
Fill with
that
The
is the
International
silver
gentleness,
going
experience,
through. I
International
really pray
Association
that we need
can
holding
to
back
protect
outreach
ourselves
and can,
in this
Father,
time.
them
I
with
fear,
strength,
that's why I'm
but
holding back.
really,
Really
also
also pray
respect
confidence,
for
the
Stevens' daughter,
change,
the
Father,
forwardful
and
stands
Sayaka's
off
and
life,
his father, her
Judy
father,
bounced
yes,
back even
and
stronger.
Ayumi,
Father, pick
and their
off the one
family.
Judy,
But yeah,
the
one
family,
nation and
her
and
water broke.
make
Hiroki,
peace
and
to have
Giving birth to
pray
people that
also
have
every
one
youth
Pray for
that
any
will
that might be
who
governmental
will
pray that
go
dynamics, Father,
have
representing
such a heart
delivery,
and
Los
mind.
Angeles
that they can
District
do
Ask you,
so.
the
our
pain,
I pray that also
Juanitas,
in the elected
Juanitas,
for Maria
people
Lee
I
Heller,
pray
that have moral and
child,
ethical
baby,
standards,
declaration, fear, and
Maria,
can
strong,
be
as I
wise,
finish this
peaceful,
that the
visitation,
baby is
young
strong
age
as well.
multiplying,
over,
do so.
pray
blessed
that
lineage.
this
In
new baby,
personal
the
faith,
second
It's not
we're
easy.
looking
A lot of
son
at
is
challenges.
coming
To
the
be born to
people
pray
stand
for
for,
everybody
Christoph
alive.
who
and
allow
Maria,
us, Father, to
Well,
choose the
then,
ones
the
that really
second child.
represent
We know
our
that
Please,
it
Pray
is
ethnic
for
a,
the
culture,
DP
everybody
Father.
is a
missionaries,
battle. We were always
find
in the
them.
past
How
As
blessings
a
we
for
get
them,
community,
back to
situation, but
our
now
their
Father,
work,
for
we
the
love
whole
them.
Stevens
You
family's
are
health, Father.
anyone can be loved.
The amazing
exactly that was your
Sunday,
plan. Heavenly
fund
Parents, I
that
they
pray
you
do
that
many
mentioned with
things
what we
Milhan
for
call
the
have
yeah,
pastors.
really
the
pray that
opportunity, Father, to
the
3
Iran
January.
Desmond
can't
Green,
live myself
Dark things
to
are,
Dawson,
the
see it
Mrs.
media,
more.
Green,
April 5th.
tremendous
Children
for health,
Kennedy
for
Road.
them to
Jane
sing
Green,
and feel it
Again,
ourselves.
something
their
beautiful.
Who
son,
gazes upon
The
this as a day
American
too.
James
Oh,
and John.
God is alive.
She said, we
Spiritual
all have
Thy
in
kingdom come,
the
Pray for our two
reality
thy
and
will
mothers.
be done
that
on earth
also
To
like
as
watch
to
it
this
is
pray
in
difficult
for
Dr.
heaven.
Son
brothers and
Jesus.
So we
sisters,
run
women,
this
So the
Father,
second
Lord,
power
she
advent,
the
has
family.
true
I'd like to
mother,
pray
for
for
the
daughter,
Jesus said we
appreciate
Jinim,
more
father,
I
father in
got more
spirit, mother on this earth,
strong faith
many
Hunjinim,
times about your
Emanim,
grace,
and
your
when
Hunjinim,
goodness.
Damien
and
done
this is
Jesus
a
never thought about
universe.
himself.
paving a new way
We
for
pray
America.
for
volunteer
Thought about himself.
Transhuman
Mother
workshop,
Moon did not
Providence
think about
to raise
herself.
the
have a
children and
workshop
Science
She was
Richmond,
thinking about your will.
Harlem,
like
Harlem,
the
Because you
that
saw
we
us
can
intensification of
fulfill
Ecuador
your
cleaning up all
desire.
the demons
we
and
prayed
We are
this
truly
Negro
morning that our
thankful
mother
separating
for
them.
your
pray for the
God is
strength
alive.
for your
support
love
their
and
The time is
family,
coming.
guidance.
inheritance.
Granted,
Heaven is a
faith,
hammer.
truly
their
So we will
principles,
run this
Sin
prayers, and
race
the
be with
peace
them. We pray for
with
John
power.
pick up
Newton,
our shoes.
Kennedy's
Each
youth,
We step
these
into
men,
rich
people
the
the
holy
hope
womb where we are to be born,
they were always
pray
ready.
that she can
rescue
be
your
the
guidance.
hour we need it.
And through your
Prayers
with
to be there.
here
spiritual
to
support for all
expand
and
your
pray for
dispensation with the joy and
Doing
happiness.
your will
Heavenly
life
is
Father,
to
for
this
respond
is
to your
divine
will.
that we
One
pray that
those who have
prayers
that
live to
we
1%.
now they have grandchildren
the family to
can grow
to be able to go through man to
to
keep
go
Know that we
rescuing.
cannot do this alone.
We
okay.
pray that they have an opportunity to come closer to you.
We need heaven's support.
Continue to give
Thank you
journey
so much for guiding us.
to family,
Never lose a hope.
Pray
health,
for,
Never
as we were
lose
talking today, our
no,
politicians,
let
the people of our
go find. I
association,
really pray.
those on
You
leadership.
never
universal
lose
peace
faith.
prayers.
Never lose
I like
faith.
to
Pray that
my
we would be
Belma
empowered
Faith
as well.
leading us
Congress people all over the world
a
to be
generation born in
really
Harlem.
inspired and
And we have
enthusiastic
that
Remember,
second
can
gen
be
Harlem
health,
a generation
shaking
truly
hands,
grounded
any
in
good
Harlem.
relationships at
I
work,
know
family,
the UN is doing
All
their
this
best.
progress that
also
reaching of
actually
Harlem,
my
reaching of
father
Harlem,
learned many
reaching of
things
Sustainable
from
anything.
development
Belma.
goals.
Truly guide us
They
that we
continue
truly want to pray
even
for
now.
true mother's sake,
The
true
the
mother's
life
purpose. We
The will
truly work.
stand
the blessing and
Heavenly
the
Father, thank you so much for guiding us.
inspiration
We go them to
to
you.
be prayed by
Truly
them
thankful.
so he
You are
today.
truly
in the media
really
can
pray
better
for each and every
imitate
one. I really
can
pray
see
that
the
I
light
ask.
of heaven
Thank you so
and
much for
the
guiding
in
us.
principle and
Really,
the
all of us,
wisdom
you are
Encourage them.
sincere. This is a
one
universe.
day
We are
We're
moving,
almost
we are
there.
moving, we
can
are
on
moving.
here in
We
earth
are
help us with the progress.
truly forward.
The world is
We
darker and
pray
darker
for the
where light will
unification of the
prevail.
North and South
My
Korea.
house has always
We
been
pray
there. Science
unification
and
of North and
technology.
South
Yeah,
Korea.
he put
Thank
them
you so
in
much.
If
I
they
pray
see
for the
I'd like to pray for all
DMZ to
spiritual
be the
good
zone for peace
put
and
the
so
children,
many
wide.
so many discoveries of
bless
biological
Dr.
plants and
Jeannie and
peace park.
Bishop
Pray and
Harold.
advance for the Japanese
I'd
brothers
like
and
to pray
sisters.
for my family and
Really truly
to pray for
empowered
Ajay,
this
Billy,
through
This
this
day,
time.
Father,
Angela,
Truly thankful to you for
Talina,
guiding us. Heavenly Father, I really
Lina,
seek your
Jim,
guidance.
Snow.
Thank you, everyone. Your prayers. Hope you had a good prayer. Do we have any announcements? Ayako-san, were you able to give your daughter the Mother of Peace? Ayako-san, you're muted.
This morning,
Oh, good.
it's coming showdown. But we built up many beautiful sharing, so it's possible now.
Good, good.
Thank you. Thank you for your prayer. Yeah.
thank you for sharing the victory with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Get home safely from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you by afternoon. I mean, I'll be there by noontime. Yeah. Another babysitting now.
Okay, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for all your hard work. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Have a blessed day. Oh my God.
Nice to see
Thank
you,
you.
Jong, yesterday.
Okay.
It was so wonderful to be with you. Thank you.